Okay, we should be live. So
Awesome.
let me just do a few checks.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Akbar, why don't you get us up to speed with how things have been going for you? Although
Absolutely.
you've been pretty busy.
Absolutely. So why don't we do our check-in that I like to do when it comes to the IT market that's currently been going on.
Okay.
So we have seen, and I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks now, that the market has been picking up. Okay. So generally, how corporate America works is there is a hiring frenzy Q1. Q1 is January through what is it, March, I believe, right? That's 3 months.
Yeah.
That's around Q1 is when it is the hottest time for the IT market.
Mhm.
Q2, when you start getting into summer, is also when it starts to pick up. Generally, the IT market is very stable
Mhm.
for the last 5 years.
Okay.
Now, the last 2 years was when we saw some major layoffs start happening, right? Because we had
That's like after the pandemic, right?
that's after the pandemic, but
Yeah.
pre-pandemic, it's always been very stable
Uh-huh.
up until when you start getting into 2008, which is when America crashed in general, right?
Gotcha.
And that's a given.
Yeah.
And after the pandemic, we had a little bit of an IT crash,
Sure.
but it wasn't impossible to get in. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, fast forward, where are we right now? Is the market is now upticking. And how can I say this so confidently? Well, I can say this confidently because I was applying half-heartedly,
Mhm.
and what that means is I did under 100 applications
Okay.
within the month. Out of the
100 applications in 1 month.
in 1 month.
Oh wow, that's very few.
That's nothing.
Huh.
That's literally nothing. So that's literally me doing applications whenever I'm bored or just whatever, just to test the market.
And you were doing quick, or you were doing like full?
I was doing a mixture of both quick and full, but I'd
Mhm.
say 60% quick, 40% full actual
Okay. Majority
applications.
quick.
Right. So, where am I trying to go with this? Okay. Out of 100 applications, I got 3 interviews. I was doing a lot more than 100 applications in the beginning of the year,
Okay.
and I got nothing. Zero, zilch.
Mhm.
So 100 applications, I got 3 proper interviews.
Mhm.
2 interviews didn't go my way, which
Mhm.
is fine. The last interview, it went really well. I
Uh-huh.
got an interview on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I had my second round on Thursday. I got a job offer by Friday.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep in mind, I was not actively applying. I was not, really trying
Right.
to put myself out there like that, as
Yeah.
I would be if I had no jobs.
Got it.
So I'm not the only one, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
We just had 2 students of ours
Yeah.
also get jobs within the last month, within the month of October.
Right.
So that's 3 job placements in our circle.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very good indicator
Yeah.
of where we are with the IT industry, because all 3 of us are located in Chicago.
Right.
So now imagine nationwide.
Yeah.
What that would look like.
Right.
So my point is that the IT market is picking up.
Mm-hmm.
I would say November is probably the last time you can get a job until Q1,
Mm-hmm.
because traditionally what happens is after Thanksgiving, you get into Christmas, and then you get into New Year's.
Yeah.
No one is working.
Right.
Hiring managers aren't hiring. Budgets are already filled up.
Right.
And, it's very difficult and very unheard of to get a job late November, early December.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but traditionally it just doesn't happen.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
No, that makes sense.
So that being said, the job market is starting to look very good again, alhamdulillah. It's starting to look pretty stable. And I'm very excited to see this upcoming year, especially after the elections are over, where are we going to be at in the industry,
Mm-hmm.
and how are jobs going to start looking again.
Right.
My prediction is that we're going to get back into a stronger job market after the election,
Right.
just based on a couple different factors.
Okay.
One of those factors being that you have different policies between Republicans and Democrats,
Sure.
and different workforce policies as well.
Right.
Traditionally, what we saw with Donald Trump is that something he did that people don't really talk about is that the visas
Mm-hmm.
for overseas workers were much harder to get under his administration, which left U.S. workers to obtain positions easier. Because you're cutting the pool, you're cutting the job pool in half, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
While the number of jobs is still the same.
Yeah, it's like one of the big talking points was like tariffs and stuff like that, and trying to make sure that the U.S. job opportunities are increased.
Right.
And a person might think like, how does imposing tariffs have a direct correlation to increasing jobs in the U.S.?
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole concept being is like, it's really high tariffs, but you only have to pay them if you are building outside of the US and importing it, right? You can bypass this whole high tariff scenario altogether if you simply like open your factory and build here in the US.
Got it.
You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, obviously, like we're agnostic when it comes to politics.
Right.
At the end of the day, we want, whichever candidate's going to stop the wars. That's like our priorities.
Absolutely.
But it is a really good point that you're mentioning, because it's not just putting in effort. You should also acknowledge the environment or the ecosystem in which that effort is being exerted.
100%.
And if there is, a strategy that you should, like if there's a different strategy for a different environment, you should at least be aware of that or cognizant of that.
Absolutely.
Right? So yeah, I definitely agree. I hope for the best. We both hope for the best. We're already starting to see in terms of like the stock market and stuff, but that's a very fickle, like that's a very temporary type of thing.
Right.
We'll see like in the coming months and years, how things evolve and change.
Yeah.
But I think the sentiment rings true, irrespective of who's in the office and whatnot, that there's always a market.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to know where to look.
Yep.
Right. And the beauty of a position like a product owner is that you are not confined to any specific industry.
Yep.
Because you have agile needs in every sector, even like in the education sector. It's a really big push for agile.
100%.
Just the other day, literally yesterday, I was speaking to someone that mentioned, so they might be interested in joining our November cohort.
Oh, wow.
That's the 22nd, right? That the cohort is starting.
Yep.
Yeah. So they're probably most likely going to be joining the 22nd, but they were inquiring about their wife that, for them, I feel like the priority more so was job security and earning enough that they don't have to worry about the day-to-day type of issues, but they were inquiring regarding their wife. And for her, of course, job stability and all that stuff matters, but there's also like a fulfillment factor, like, wanting to have a level of fulfillment in the role that they're doing.
Sure.
So, and specifically like they are inclined towards education. They have their degree in education and whatnot. And I was just mentioning to them that, in this role as product owner, you'll find how many job opportunities we see that we come across from, University of Arizona or from, different colleges and universities and whatnot. They're looking for a scrum master. They're looking for a product owner and whatnot, which is really interesting that, you can pursue your passions through the, position of a product owner. Right.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, so that's something to keep in mind, that it's good to have your credentials or your certification in a position that is agnostic to industry, such that if you see that the tech sector is taking a huge hit, well, you can pivot to healthcare.
Right.
You can pivot to automotive. Automotive is huge for agile, right?
Right.
Insurance. There's so many different industries that, you can pivot to.
Right.
So that's, definitely something that's kind of the silver lining, that look, politics matter in terms of enacting change, especially at the local level, right? Like, I feel like all the glitz and the glamour is definitely at the national level, obviously, where it feels like a reality TV show or something, right? But it's at the local level that you feel the changes the most.
Right.
But then with that being said, not to get too disheartened or not to get too excited, like that's one realm or one sphere of influence over your career.
Mhm.
But there's also so many industries that anytime something happens, you can always kind of follow the back in the day we used to have back in the days there's a lot of societies that were like nomadic societies,
Right.
like for example, on my way here I was just listening to a podcast and they were talking about the Cherokee that are in Texas
Mhm.
and how they were a nomadic society that didn't really settle in one place. They would follow the buffalo. Their whole life was surrounded by the buffalo.
Nice.
The buffalo was like the centerpiece of their life. And as the buffalo would migrate, so would they.
Nice.
They were just hunters. They would just hunt. They would just eat meat. They're on that carnivore diet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, that is what it is, right? Following the prosperity, having the ability to have that level of agility to be able to move sector to sector,
Mhm.
that's a big blessing.
Yeah.
It's a big blessing.
Yeah.
Whereas if you were to choose another type of profession where you're kind of, stuck in one specific industry,
Right.
well, you are in some sense kind of putting all your faith and eggs in one basket, right?
Right.
God forbid what happens if that industry becomes obsolete or something. I mean, you can say that about anything, but when it comes to your career, these are the types of things you want to think about, right? Like
No,
you want to
absolutely.
take these things into consideration.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So Akbar, we have some major
Yes,
news.
we have some awesome news for everyone here, and we'd love to share it. Nabil, do you want to let them know?
Yeah, definitely. So, we have a commitment to excellence, obviously. Any of our alumni could attest to that. And we always encourage anyone that's interested to talk to our alumni. Because if you're going to talk to us, we put our blood, sweat, and tears
Right.
into, this product owner accelerator and whatnot. So, but if you speak to an alumni that put their money where their mouth is and actually went through it, they would give you like some really good, sincere advice.
Right.
But with that being said, our alumni have always been our source of pride and legitimacy and whatnot. But it always helps to have like a credentialing body, right? That can stand behind you and say, okay, these guys are legit. And, so we're really proud to announce that we've been approved by the Illinois Board of Higher Education. So that's IBHE as a legitimate vocational school, right? So it's not like it's some type of like course online that you're taking, but rather, you're attending a legitimate institution that's going to confer upon you a certificate that employers can see that this is a legitimate body approved by the Illinois Board of Higher Education. And with this comes a host of possibilities.
Yes.
Things that we'll be looking forward to announcing in the future.
Absolutely.
Inshallah. But for now, at least, this is a major step in the next phase of Mentor Agile.
100%.
Right?
And I would just like to say that we are the only institution accredited by the Illinois Board of Higher Education that teaches product ownership and product management.
Yeah.
And we're the only other school that is also accredited and certified by CompTIA.
Right. That's true. That's very true. And it's an honor. Obviously, we know who we are, but it definitely helps to have badges of accreditation. Just like how we practice what we preach, we ourselves are CSPO certified, POPM certified. I've been working really hard these past few months on AI product manager certifications.
Yep.
Completed the Duke University one, working on another one. So these titles help because, when you have a conversation with me and I'm explaining or I'm breaking down to you the different types of models that you can use and how you train them and how you'd have a feedback loop to ensure that they're getting better and more efficient, XYZ, you'd get a sense of, okay, this guy understands what he's talking about, like how to implement AI into product. Okay.
Right.
But, people don't have the time or the opportunity to sit there for 20 minutes and have a conversation with you when they're looking on a resume, or they're making a snap decision and they have hundreds of things in front of them. Having those credentials kind of speak that language for, the individual. So just like that rings true at the individual level, which is why we're so big on our students, getting those accreditations. It also rings true at the institutional level. So as an institute, like you say that you're legit, but who else?
Right.
Is there a governing body?
Right.
Is there, a governing body that's known for their due diligence,
Right.
that's known for their reputation, that it's not any random guy that can just, pay a fee and join.
Right.
So, hopefully that's that next step. And definitely in the coming months, we have a lot of major announcements
Absolutely.
that, looking forward to. And the cool thing is that, all of our alumni, they can look forward to the fact that we can, like the fact that they've already graduated, right? We can retrospectively confer them our certifications.
Yes.
So, we'll be definitely doing that. Not that they don't already have CSPOs and POPMs, we've already helped them accomplish that, but helps, the more
Absolutely.
credentials you have, the better.
100%. 100%.
So, yeah.
It was a very long process, but it was something that was very rewarding in the end as well.
Yeah, and I've got to give you your flowers, man.
Oh, thank
you, mashallah, were the driving force to make it happen. The day-to-day, so many back and forth discussions, and it is what it is. I mean, if it was easy and straightforward and it took a couple of weeks rather than like 9 to 10 months, like, dude, anybody could do it, right?
Right, right.
Yeah, but I appreciate them. Like some people could get annoyed, like, oh my God, so much bureaucracy and this and that.
Right.
But I do respect the fact that they're trying to save the general public that's unwitting. They don't know how to compare, one institution to a different institution.
Right.
They're helping them, be safe from fraud, from scammers, from people that are trying to turn a quick buck, because it is a vulnerable state.
Right.
Frankly speaking, it is someone looking to do a career transition is in a vulnerable state because they know nothing of that new career.
Right.
And they don't know, like, are you just selling them like a rosy picture?
Right.
How would they be able to know?
Right.
Right. So it's good to have like, governmental bodies that are ensuring that people aren't being taken for a ride.
Right.
So.
Right. And they have a very strict procedure as well as very strict requirements to even get approved. And it's good that they have that because not every Joe Schmo can just walk in and just fill out a form and boom, they're now approved at a federal level. It doesn't work like that, right? And as you mentioned, we have heard so many horror stories from our alumni and just regular students that have taken courses or taken these quick boot camps. And, it's just unfortunately they got taken for a ride. They lost their money. And they really didn't get anything out of it other than a couple PowerPoint slides.
And, I really respect and props to them. Like, I've told them this before as well, but just reiterating to our alumni that were burned in the past by other like shadier operations and then took the bold step of doing this and alhamdulillah, like getting the right results that they're looking for. Without a doubt, our process is a lengthier process.
Yes.
Without a doubt, our process is one that does require effort from you. But at the end of the day, man, like, if someone's trying to sell you overnight, you're going to like become senior level, blah, 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 XYZ. Frankly speaking, that should be a red flag, right? Because, there's a way to play the game. There's a way to use the system to your advantage. Without a doubt, we definitely teach that. That's like one of the core things that we teach, right? How to leapfrog or or cut down the time it takes for you to get to to like mid-level. If, of course not senior level, but at least bypassing the entry level, being competent enough and having the credentials enough that people are willing to hire you straight into the mid-level, which is like, that's where you're making like 135, 140. You can do that. Right.
Right.
But, especially courses, I'm just letting the viewers know, you know, frankly speaking, if there is like a course that's trying to pitch to you someone that has never been in IT before, and that's the key, like if they've never been in IT before, that they'll turn you into an AI product owner or something like that.
Right.
That is a red flag.
Absolutely.
Right. That is a red flag, dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You need to get and it's a harder pill to swallow, but we're here to say it as it is, that you have to put in the time to get the credentials to be first a product manager, product owner. And then that's like a specialization you'd look to do as another step after that.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And
right.
The only reason I bring it up is because I just spoke to someone about this that was interested in, AI product manager, and they've never been in tech before. So just keep in mind, right? There's steps, and we're definitely here to help you along the way, but we're gonna say it as it is, which is the way it should be.
Yeah, and I would go so far as to say anyone that is offering you a very low barrier to entry, but down the line they're gonna upcharge you.
Yeah.
And what do I mean by that? Let's say you're looking between a couple of courses,
sure,
or a couple of accelerators, right?
Yeah.
You see one person charging you maybe $5,000 up front that you can pay over time.
Mm-hmm.
You see another person charging you $500 up front.
Yeah.
But after you get a job, they want 30% of your salary for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
If you do the math, number one, you're going to end up paying way more. You're going to pay double, actually, with the second option. You may end up paying around $10,000 to $12,000, depending on what you get as a job.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, that person is not going to care about your education.
Yeah.
They care about you getting a job, any job, so that you can then pay them.
Exactly.
That is it. That is it.
Yeah. You know how there are these like places that are called like what are they called? They're called like not pill mill, but it's like a certificate mill or like a diploma mill type of thing, right? Where it's just a shady operation that's just pumping out people for the sake of like numbers and whatnot. And the game that's being played is it's a numbers game. So instead of like, us focusing on every single student and them being our success story and whatnot, and the amount of effort that we put in, not just in helping them understand product ownership, but then get a job, and then not only get a job, but keep that job.
Right.
So many questions that people have when they're in their first few weeks, we provide that level of assistance or coaching in the beginning of having a job. Right.
Right.
And the other model is, let's just try to do as much volume as we can. And if even 10% of them hit, we make back our investment twofold or fourfold. You get my point?
Right.
Yeah, but these are people's lives. You know what I mean?
They're not numbers at the end of the day.
Yeah, they're not numbers. These are people's lives. Like
these are actual people with families, hopes, and dreams. Yeah. And someone may be listening and thinking, well, I'm getting a job at the end of the day. What does it matter? Well, what matters is yes, you're getting a job, but now you're owing someone a percentage of your paycheck for the next year.
Yeah. So, no, that's if you get a job.
And that's exactly. Yeah. That's if you get a job.
Yeah. What if you're part of the 85-90%
that don't get anything?
And they're okay with that because the 10% that do bankroll the operation. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
It's kind of a sick way of
it is honestly. And that is if you're in that type of business, like I can guarantee you're going to start looking and seeing people as numbers rather than human beings.
Sure.
And I've had like friends who have been stuck in contracts for 2 to 3 years.
I know. Yeah.
Paying people. I've gone so far as speaking on their behalf with the person that owns that company, because we're in the same industry, right?
So it's like, dude, come on. Like,
and I've
cut them some slack.
Right. I've gone out of my way to speak to like those people to try to get someone out of a year-long contract or a 3-year-long contract.
Right.
And I'm like, come on, man, this guy's been paying you for 2 years now. Like,
that's enough.
Just please, bro.
Cut them off. That's enough.
And they have gone so far as to block that person from getting other job opportunities.
I got you.
And keeping them on their W-2s.
Yeah. I got you.
And it gets really messed up.
Yeah, no, that's right. So I guess, we don't want to belabor the point. The main thing is, anyone that does find themselves in a situation like that, our advice to them would be that please reconsider and reach out to us if we can help in any way. We'd help with that.
Right.
But at the end of the day, man, like hard work pays off, and people that have the right intentions, hopefully people can see through it, right? Like those are not the types of institutions that are getting IBHE accreditation,
100%.
right? Those are not the type of institutions that are that can take advantage of these types of like prestige or pedigree and whatnot, you know? So
Or even opportunities.
opportunities. Right? Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, inshallah, it's uphill from here. I mean, it's you know, there's still a battle that we're fighting every single day.
Right.
But you know, hopefully with this type of accreditation and stuff, it helps to ease people's minds and gives them more confidence and stuff like that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So how's it going with the current cohort that we're running?
Oh, it's going excellent.
Nice.
I would say they are very on top of it. So as you know, we like to keep our cohorts in a smaller batch process.
Right.
Just so it's more personal.
Sure.
And so everyone can interact with each other and get to know each other versus a class of 20, right?
That's right.
So it's going awesome. We, starting next week, we're actually going to be switching phases and getting into our career prep phase.
Okay, nice.
So we're going to be doing resume prep, interview prep,
very nice,
LinkedIn creation,
nice,
as well as just the state of the market.
Okay.
And how to go about this.
Right.
So we were on our last workshop today, which is we were deep diving into Jira.
Okay, all right.
So what we did is I created a Jira board for them.
Okay.
And I was showing them like, I want you to be, I want you to explore this.
Mm-hmm.
And I purposefully don't like to give them too much direction because I want them to explore. I want them to go on different pages of these tools and applications.
Yeah.
Without the fear of messing up.
Got it.
Right? Yeah. Versus when you start a job and you start experimenting, you could mess some crazy stuff up.
Sure. Yeah.
You know
if you have the privileges to do that, which oftentimes you will, given the responsibilities of your role. You know, it's maybe someone that's at a more of a junior position or something, like they wouldn't even have the permissions to be able to make changes.
Right.
But you as a product owner or product manager, you know, you're the one that's managing that team. So
you have admin rights.
You definitely do. Yeah. Oftentimes you do. So that's good, man. To be able to learn your lessons in a sandboxed environment is so helpful because, you know, we've said this before, but like we didn't have that.
Right.
Us personally, right?
Right.
We had to learn our lessons on the fly.
Right.
It's like you're doing a repair on a plane while it's flying.
Yeah. The first time I saw Jira, I was like, I had to lead a meeting for work.
Sure.
And I was like, this is like 5 years ago, you know?
Yeah,
but I was like, yeah.
No, exactly, dude. But alhamdulillah, man, that's the way it should be. Always make it easier for people. That's like my biggest dream for like my son, that like my biggest aspiration for him is he becomes someone that is useful to others.
Right.
That's like, you know, huge, you know, if you can actually be useful, helpful to other people.
Right.
Inshallah. Yeah. Because as long as you are in the service of people, then God is in your service.
Right.
That's a hadith that as long as you are in the service of the people, then, you know, Allah will be in your service. So that's a good thing, man. It's very fulfilling. Alhamdulillah. It's very fulfilling to be able to like do something on a day-to-day basis that's making very real changes in people's lives.
Absolutely.
And of course, we don't dictate how people spend their money, but we always encourage that. Like, you know, now that you're in a totally different scenario, before you were, you know, making 45,000 or, you know, 50,000, and now you're making 100,000 more than how much you were making before.
Right.
Like that 100,000 more, you know, definitely use it in a way that's in a righteous way, you know, not just in a way that's going to help your family, in a way that's going to help, you know, your living situation, your family situation, all that type of stuff.
So actually, on that note, I want to give a quick statistic. I saw this come out with the election stuff.
Okay.
So they did, they had separate brackets, right, for household income.
Okay.
There's maybe about 5 brackets.
Got it. Like tax brackets?
Like tax brackets.
I got you.
60% of Americans, 60%. At a household level are not making $80,000 to $100,000 at a household level.
Wow.
So that when I saw that, that literally blew my mind. 60% of Americans. That's more. That's the majority.
Yeah, exactly.
right? Like that's
Yeah,
crazy.
that is crazy, man. And I guess a counter argument to that could be that that's on average across the U.S.
Right.
And anywhere outside of a major city, the cost of living is actually a lot less.
It is.
But my point is this, right? That you're putting in the same amount of time,
Right.
right? So why shouldn't you maximize your earning potential? Isn't that just 1 + 1 = 2 basic common sense, right?
Right.
Because how beautiful is it if, yes, I agree with you. What if you're living in some random place in rural Ohio or like Kansas,
Right.
but you're working for a company that's out in California or that's in
Right.
New York or something
that's
like that
paying you-
remotely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's paying you like $130,000, $140,000.
You'd be Elon Musk of the town. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Look, man, you're gonna put the same amount of time in.
Right.
Like, why are we not maximizing your earning potential here? It's a
Right.
no-brainer, because it's like, dude, you're putting time in. People, I feel like perhaps they don't value the time enough. That you should value your time so much that you want every minute to pay you in dividends.
Mhm.
So why be in a position where you're earning half? It will take you 2 years, right? Than being in a position where you're earning double that. And not only that, if you're earning double that, you have disposable income that's well beyond your basic necessities.
Right.
If you're smart enough to invest that money,
Right.
then it's not a calculation of a person in 1 year is earning how much the other person. No, he's earning way more
Right.
because there's a compounding effect of the investments that he's putting in.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
You can put yourself so far ahead,
Right.
like it would not even be funny.
Right. It's like exponential. And that's something that like us as humans naturally have a very hard time grasping. Like linear growth is a lot easier for the mind to grasp because it's a lot more logical. I feel like it's easier, but exponential growth is kind of mind-boggling.
Right.
So you don't recognize how much compounding. We're not talking about interest. We're talking about sensible and smart investments. You're not even in the conversation of investments unless you're making enough money that you don't have to worry about your bills. They're on auto pay.
Right.
You don't have to worry about what day is rent so that I can transfer money from this account to that account to barely make it.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
because when you're barely scraping by, like I've been there.
yeah, definitely,
It's
bro.
not-
We've been
it's not-
there, man.
it's not fun.
It's not.
It's
a good experience, I feel like, for a person to have in their life.
right.
Because it grounds you and gives you a reality check, like,
Right.
okay,
Right.
you know what I mean? But you don't want to be in that position for years,
Oh, absolutely not.
because in a position like that, it takes a lot of effort and a lot of discipline to not have tunnel vision.
Right.
Like when the chips are down, it feels like physically like things are caving in around you.
100%.
And you start to develop this myopic like tunnel vision of, okay, I just got to get this. I just got to get through this. I just got to get through this. And like our hearts go out to people that are in that situation. We know what that feels like, right?
Right.
But what happens in the tunnel vision is there are so many opportunities and pathways that you are completely oblivious of. You're passing by completely oblivious,
Right.
that had you taken those turns
Right.
could completely change your life. You would be in a totally different scenario.
Absolutely.
But what can you blame a person in that situation when it just feels like everything's caving in around you? You know, like
100%.
yeah, it's like a physical feeling.
Yeah,
you know, like when you're financially constrained like that.
like you feel a pressure.
Yeah, like physically, you feel like, I don't know if women feel it as much as men. I mean, I don't want to get into like that type of territory, but
Right.
as in general, I think it's safe to say men being as a providers, like there's like so many memes where it's like the guy is like up late night, like thinking about finances and thinking about that, and the girl is just in La La Land.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is beautiful, man. Alhamdulillah. Like,
Alhamdulillah.
if as a man you can be that provider for your wife and take on that stress so your kids and your wife don't have to, that's a beautiful thing, right?
Right.
But let's be real, right? That's one type of scenario. But how many scenarios that, alhamdulillah, we've been able to help single mothers, man, they're
Right.
holding it down.
Right.
They're holding it down, man. And, they might feel like they're down and out because, man, honestly, childcare is so difficult, bro.
Right.
It is so difficult. Like, really, my heart goes out to anyone that's doing it alone. Man, subhanAllah, that's hard, bro.
Yeah.
That is a full-time job.
Right.
On top of that, having to have a job.
Right.
And when you're doing the job, you have to have the kids in childcare.
Right.
And the heart bleeds, bro. You want to be with your kid, but because of circumstances, they have to be in childcare. You get what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Like, dude, like, alhamdulillah, I'm so glad that, like, you were able to, like, educate and help people in scenarios like that, because they deserve that help. And back in the day, dude, we had entire trusts that were literally set up to help such scenarios, to help out in these types of situations.
Right.
Now, we have to kind of pick each other up. Like, we have to and that's the thing, right? That we tell our students that, look, if you're making $100,000 more than you were before,
right.
Well, guess what, bro? There's causes out there that are very noble causes.
Right.
That if you were to start investing your money into, you can help people out exponentially.
Right.
Right. And that's the thing, like, it just,
100%.
it makes my heart bleed, man, when it's knowledge that's the only gap.
Right.
Like, they could be making double the amount, and what's the missing factor? It's not competency.
Right.
It's not dedication. It's not a willingness to do it.
Right.
It's just that they didn't even know
Right.
that there are options like that.
Right. And corporate is a very funny place, because the higher up the ladder you are, the more money you're making, but the less you're actually working.
I guess. I mean, to be honest with you, when it comes to, like, the executive level,
Sure.
Okay, look, there's different types of leaders.
Sure.
There's some leaders that are like that type, though.
Sure.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Sure.
The type that are just pawning things off
Right.
to their subordinates.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't know how long people last under people like that.
Yeah.
Compared to, like, I've worked under some amazing leaders.
Sure.
That I'm inspired by.
Sure.
How the heck, like, subhanAllah, they have so much barakah in their time. Like,
Right.
they're really, like, overachievers and overperformers, that it makes you feel like, dude, okay, like, you know what I mean? Like, I can get stuff done too.
Right.
So,
Let me rephrase that.
yeah.
What I mean by, like, the work that you're doing
Yeah.
is the physical demand of
Yeah.
the work. Right. So imagine you are working at McDonald's, or you're an Uber driver.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Physically exhausted.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And the leverage you have is nothing compared to a guy sitting behind a computer,
right,
making a couple spreadsheets.
I totally get what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're making 5x that.
I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, it's not a one-to-one relationship between, like, the intensity of work,
right,
to the amount that you're being compensated.
Exactly.
There's not a one-to-one relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's very true. And your point being that those that are on the higher end of compensation,
right,
are oftentimes doing a lot less actual physical effort, like 100%. Exerting, like
100%.
There might be mental, obviously, or like organizing, but bro, like mental pressure or like organizing this and that, compared to being on the side of a highway,
right,
where you could get run over,
right, digging
a ditch or
at
working with heavy machinery and whatnot.
Right.
No, you're right, man.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's the catch-22, bro, because those are such important positions that we need that. Yeah. I mean, we don't have optimists yet that can, like, go ahead and, like, do all that work. We need people to do that.
Right.
But I think a good example is, there comes a time
mm-hmm.
where a person realizes that, dude, if I do this for another 25 years, I'm going to throw my back out.
Right.
And I need change.
Right.
That it was fun while it lasted, or it was a good run.
Right.
And they learned a lot of life skills.
Right.
In doing something like that. And they were a true, like, benefit to society in doing that type of work.
Right.
But there comes a time where it's like, okay, I need to reconsider, because perhaps the next 20 years of my life would be better, in terms of my health, in terms of all these different things. And that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If the whole world were to just do one thing, then it wouldn't work,
Right.
But for those individuals that, all right, it's time. It's time for us to transition to a different career. I mean, alhamdulillah, that's the point,
say, right?
Yeah. And I mean, we've personally dealt with multiple scenarios just like this, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. We've seen both ends of the spectrum, like, dudes that just got out of college that are like, okay, I don't want to have to start from complete scratch. I want to do an accelerator and kind of try to leapfrog my career.
Right.
And people that have been in the game for 20 years, 25 years, and they're looking for change.
Right.
100%. Yeah.
100%.
You'd be surprised, man, because I gave an example that was maybe a more extreme example. Someone working on the side of a highway, digging a ditch. That's like a very labor intensive. But you'd be surprised how much of a toll doing professional makeup takes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It takes a huge toll on the wrist. Carpal tunnel, wrist surgeries. It's very, very common for people that are, at that professional level, that are dealing with clients all day. The hours are grueling.
Right.
And then sometimes, man, like, it's like, how long are my wrists gonna last? Like, how long, am I gonna be able to do something like this?
Right.
So yeah, man. I mean, to be a force of change, that's the goal, right? That's the goal here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I guess we could also mention, Akbar, that of course things are in the works, but just as a teaser, right, that we have some really awesome scholarships.
Yes.
Right. Through Mentor Agile.
Absolutely.
That we're working on facilitating. Right. And we just ask our viewers to, make dua for us that we're successful in this. But if we are, then it's going to be really nice to be able to,
It's going to completely change and help out a lot of different people.
Right.
A lot of people that normally would not have even had a chance to do something like this. Exactly.
Yeah, because it is an investment, obviously. You have to invest in yourself to get to that next level.
Right.
So, yeah. I guess before we close, I can give a little bit of update on how my progress has been going in terms of what I've been working on. So, I've completed a course from Duke, and I would not recommend it for anyone that's not very technically inclined. You don't have to necessarily have done a coding boot camp or anything like that. But you definitely want to be in the category of those that are a technical product owner.
Right.
But it was very thorough, very thorough. So that is the good thing about it, that if you are starting from scratch, you're going to be at an intermediate level proficiency by the end of it.
Yeah.
It is a 6-month process. So there's that. And then there's another one that I just started recently. And this is just advice to any technical product owners, that it's good to have a mix, to have some credentials that are from institutions that have more I would say prestige and whatnot, like Duke or something like that. But it also helps to have worked under or studied under the real shakers and movers of industry in our current industry, right? So the people that I'm studying under at this point, they're the likes of, people working on adding LLM functionality to Google's voice, people that have worked at Meta, to incorporate different AI features, people that worked on AI, the Google Glass, the Google glasses that were a complete fail. But, you learn and you grow. But, these are people that have very real industry experience, because you don't just learn from the projects that are successful. You oftentimes learn even more from the projects that aren't. Because if you don't carry those lessons with you, because projects, you're going to be going project by project. It's not like there's no one and done. It's not like you're doing a magnum opus, like just one, your whole life is dedicated to just one thing, right?
Right.
So if you are iterating, it's those lessons that you carry with you that ensure that the next round or the next time around, you're able to do it more efficiently, more professionally, well thought out, all that type of stuff. So I'm really appreciating this aspect of like the industry experience and whatnot. So we'll see how it goes.
Nice.
Keep people updated. But I just really recommend, if this does spark your interest, because AI product owner, at that point, you're making like $300,000, like
Right.
250, 300, right?
Right.
That's on average. And then we already know the high end. The high end in Fang, they're making over 900K, right?
Right.
But if you are interested at that level and you do feel like you have some technical proficiency, then it's in your best interest to do the base course
Mhm.
and get your base certifications as soon as possible.
Right.
Because it's a long journey ahead, folks.
Right.
Not that long. It's only like, how long? Like a year maybe?
Right.
After you get, so 3 months to do our course, right? You get your CSPO or you get your POPM and whatnot. And then it'll take you maybe 6 to 8 months beyond that.
Sure.
Right. And then of course you want to have like experience in the industry. So you would probably not do like 6 to 8 months right after our course. That
Right.
wouldn't make any sense.
Right.
You would do our course, you'd get a job, you'd be earning 6 figures. Okay. You could spend however much time is enough for you to learn your lessons
Mhm.
and then get on this track
Right.
to go for like AI product and product management and whatnot.
Right. Right.
But, the beauty of it is while you're trying to get to that next level, you're still making like over $140,000.
There you go.
You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
you're doing it from a place of abundance. You're not doing it from a place of scarcity.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense, in my opinion, that someone does our course and then they do another 6-month course to be a dude.
You should be working. for a
You
little
should
bit.
be working.
Yeah.
You need to have industry experience, right? And not only that, like you shouldn't delay getting into the market, because getting into the market, especially someone that wasn't earning 6 figures before, it's going to transform a lot of different aspects and opportunities will open up for you.
Right.
So then you'll be in a different headspace altogether. And then you can look for something like that. You see
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
But yeah, man, there's so many opportunities. And this is just a message to everyone out there that some people don't even know that the opportunity exists. So hopefully we don't let that happen.
Right.
Education should not be the limiting factor.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, education should not be the limiting factor. Yeah. Anything else, Akbar?
No, I think that's a good place to leave it off at.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man. Until
All
next
right.
time.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure.
Take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Take care.